episode of The Follow-Up. I'm Eden, and this is my dad Noah, and for 160 episodes, we've been sitting on my bed and having a conversation about something we want to talk about. And this week, we're going to talk about our family vacation to Colorado.
So before we do that, though, we always ask for
Comments
reviews on Apple Podcasts, so we thought
we would read some.
We'd read a few. And how about you start with Eden back from camp from Snoo S.
Okay. So enjoyed hearing about Eden's first overnight camp experience. Sounds like she had a great summer and enjoyed all the activities. Loved hearing about her busy schedule, especially the singing.
Mm-hmm.
Looking forward to next podcast.
And this is the next podcast.
And also, definitely true about I had a great overnight experience.
Certainly.
Overnight camp.
One of my fave podcasts from Janie Hope. Noah and Eden are the perfect pair. Eden is so articulate and mature. It's nice.
Yeah.
I love listening to her have such thoughtful conversations with her dad. That's really nice. Thank you. And this one is from Melody Mavs 16. It's just the subject line is a heart. And it says, I love this, listening to you both every week. Noah, you're such a great dad. And Eden, you are such a sweet, intelligent girl.
That's nice.
That is really nice. So you can continue to leave those with a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. It helps allow more people to get to discover the podcast. That's how it works. And you can also watch all these new episodes on YouTube. The YouTube channel is just called The Follow-Up Podcast. Anyway, okay. So you went to camp, came back. A few days later, took a family trip, and we spent a week in Colorado. A few days in Denver, a day in Boulder, a few days in Colorado Springs. So let's start with you with 3 highlights, and then what I really want to do, instead of just recapping the trip, I want you to talk about the trip for someone your age and things that you might recommend or things that you would change or things to be on the lookout for. If you're going to do this, make sure you know this first. Things like that.
Yeah.
All right, so 3 highlights.
3 highlights. Top of Pikes Peak, going to Pikes Peak.
Okay, so top of Pikes Peak, do you remember where that was?
Exactly.
Well, no, like Denver, Boulder, Colorado Springs?
Colorado Springs.
Colorado Springs. Pikes Peak is 14,110 feet up. I think it's 14,115 feet up. And we drove up. You could take the train, but we drove up. Okay?
Yes. Another highlight was whitewater rafting in Denver.
Did you get the hiccup?
No, I think I burped, but I didn't burp.
So that was outside Denver, in a town called Idaho Springs, through Colorado Adventure Company, I believe.
Yeah,
it was awesome.
It was a lot of fun.
It was awesome. Okay.
And this is so hard.
Well, just something else you like.
Colorado Rockies game.
Okay.
That was Denver, but you could go to really anywhere. It's
beautiful stadium.
Beautiful stadium. Sadly, there weren't that many people, but
yeah, and they came back and won.
Yeah,
they
won,
and
they're a lot of fun to see play.
Yeah, I think they're the worst team in baseball, or one of the worst teams in baseball. But a beautiful stadium, beautiful night.
It was also just fun to watch. Always going to a baseball game.
Yeah, agreed. Okay, so let's start with Pikes Peak and what you really liked about it and what the experience was.
I really loved the scenic drive up and down.
Okay.
There are beautiful views of the other mountains. Also, you're driving through. There's a paved, highway.
Yeah, it's the Pikes Peak Highway that was finally fully paved in 2011. The first 6 miles were paved in 1950s, and the road was started in the 1800s, I think. But then it was finally fully paved in 2011, which is wild.
Yeah, there are trees, so all the way up. So you're kind of driving through them.
It's a forest.
Yeah, it's beautiful on the way up, also on the way down.
And when you get to the top.
Yeah, when you get to also, if you're gonna go there, be prepared for some chilly weather at the start, so at the bottom of the mountain, it was about 76 degrees. This is all according to the car.
And we did this in the middle of August, and it was 8:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then, at the top, I guess about 9:20, I think.
Right. The recommendation was just go right to the top. Don't stop along the way for pictures. Do that on your way down.
Yes.
Okay.
About 9:20, so it was only 50 minutes up. It was 48 degrees, but with the wind chill, I'm going to say it probably fell about 30 degrees.
It was freezing at the top and so windy.
It was crazy.
And the thing that...
And I was just in exercise pants that were even a little crop, a t-shirt, and a crop sweatshirt. And it was that cold.
Yeah, well, we weren't going to bring a winter jacket with us.
Exactly.
But I didn't even bring pants. I just had a long sleeve shirt. And and at the top is, which I did not know, it's all the lyrics are there for America the Beautiful.
Yeah.
And the top of Pikes Peak was the inspiration for the song America the Beautiful.
I had no idea.
No idea.
Also, there's like a little visitor center.
Uh-huh.
So there's a little museum. You can learn about some of the history of Pikes Peak. And
so for real quick, so part of that museum, for context, Pikes Peak, I think there are a handful of 14ers in Colorado, which is 14,000 feet. And no, there are two that you can drive to the top, which we did both, Mount Evans and Pikes Peak.
Recommend both of those.
And Mount Everest, well, Denali Mountain in Alaska, I think is the tallest point in North America, I think, and that's about 20,000 feet. So just for some context, yeah. And what else was at the top? It's part of that visitor center.
Donuts.
Donuts, yeah.
Those were really good donuts.
Mm-hmm.
We got plain. They're really doughy inside. They are so good.
Yeah, they're nice and crispy on the outside.
There's also like hot chocolate.
Much needed.
Much needed.
Yeah. And then on the way down, we stopped and we were able to take some pictures, which was really nice. The other stop, the other one, Mount Evans, was after whitewater rafting, which was great, and which I want you to talk about in a moment. And we asked our guide, like, what else would you do here? And he said, drive up Route 103, and it is the highest elevated road in North America, which was, I had no idea.
Yeah.
It was great. And so we drove up, and we had flip-flops on, so we couldn't get out and then hike the final quarter mile to the top of the mountain. We drove up to the top, and there was Echo Lake along the way, and we stopped and took some pictures and just really enjoyed that scenery.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right, so you want to talk about whitewater rafting?
I would.
Mm-hmm.
So,
for someone your age, I don't have to detail everything, but like for someone your age, would you recommend it?
I would.
Okay.
Because at least when we went, so the waters were a little calmer.
Yes, they were.
And they were lower.
Mm-hmm.
It was like 200 something.
So like
CFS or
right, cubic feet. I don't know what the other is, but and at the height, it's in the 700s.
Yeah.
For some context.
In like June. But so it was really fun. The rapids weren't too bad.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't extreme. It was. There are other. I guess how do you call it? Rafts around you.
Mm-hmm.
So it's fun, also bouncing off each other. Mm-hmm. And it's a nice ride down the river. Also, if this is your first time rafting, it's a great one to go down.
Yeah, I agree. And because we didn't.
We
honestly,
also didn't have to paddle.
We really didn't have to do much. Mom and I have been rafting before, and that was certainly the easiest rafting ride we've ever had.
Yeah.
But you wore a full wetsuit, and you wear life jacket, helmet.
Yeah.
Was there anything that? And you were just about, like you said. They said you had to be 7 years old, 50 pounds, and you are probably just about where you needed to be on this trip. And the rapids said were class 2 and 3, and it was for our families. I don't think any of them were riding at a class 3, so maybe just some 2s. And did you feel, as the guide, Dan was going over everything beforehand, and then when we were in the boat, did you feel at all nervous or worried?
No, not really.
Why is that?
Because I knew none of that would really happen. I just did.
You just did? Okay.
Yeah, and then also if it happened, like, I knew what to do.
Yeah. You knew how, like, if you fell out.
Yeah.
What to do, what not to do.
Right.
Okay, and you felt comfortable with that. Because as I'm hearing, what their job is to tell you is worst case scenarios, which can be scary. But I'm glad that you felt comfortable, and because I would hope that you would tell me, like, hey, it is kind of scary, but is there anything else I need to know, or you got me? You just, it's good that you trust the people around you.
Right.
And that's how I felt too. That I knew that if I fell out of that, I knew that you, Mom, and Dan, the guide, would help me out.
Right.
Yeah, that was cool. That was very cool. So overall, and along the way, okay, so other stops: Garden of the Gods, Red Rocks Amphitheater, Rocky Mountain National Park, where we saw a moose. And are there, as overall as a trip, what would you recommend? What wouldn't you recommend if someone was going to take this trip? What should you know beforehand?
I'm gonna have to say, if you're going, this is for the summer.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't recommend all of this in the winter. Well, like, none of this in the winter.
No. Or even because it got really hot the second half of the week there.
I would have to say, if you're going to go, maybe not in a really hot time. Because with this trip, I'm going to have to say, you want to be outside
mm-hmm.
as much as you can. You want to be walking there, because there are a lot of fun things to do, and all of those are outside.
Yeah, hiking. We would have done a lot more hiking, especially in Garden of the Gods,
yes.
if it wasn't so hot.
Like that day, it was 94 degrees.
Yeah, it was really
But I would say try to go in a time where it's 70s, 80s, low 80s.
And also try to do a lot of these things first thing in the morning.
Yes. So.
But we try to pack in so much in a day that not everything can be first thing in the morning.
So
but yeah,
things I'm going to recommend: Pikes Peak. Even though we didn't get to walk around Garden of the Gods, it seemed it was a very good place to walk around.
Yeah, it's spectacular.
I would recommend you doing that. Whitewater rafting. I can't recommend everything.
Right, but did you enjoy Rocky Mountain National Park?
I did.
Yeah, and where we were gonna walk on this trail,
but just
they blocked it because there was the moose. So then we veered off. We took another trail.
But Rocky Mountain National Park, just be prepared that some of the trails you're gonna have to do maybe even like an hour drive even to them for some of them.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna get there. If you want to pack in a day at Rocky Mountain National Park, get there early because you're going to have to do a bunch of driving.
Yeah, and you've got timed entry, and I would recommend bringing, if you're going to spend the whole day there, which is, people spend multiple days there, bring a cooler with food and keep it in the car. Then you can come back to it, you can eat, and you can go off and take all these different paths. And there are lots of paths recommended online for kids. Like the walk we went on was about, we probably walked, maybe a mile.
Where?
Maybe.
Rocky Mountain?
In Rocky Mountain.
No, but we didn't get to do the trail.
Well, not that first trail. Then we did another one.
Oh, that trail, yeah.
Yeah, and it wasn't too difficult.
Huh.
It was hot.
Yeah, but it was really fun.
Made a wrong turn coming down. But we found our way back.
Navigation.
Well, you can't really navigate. There's no real navigation there.
But remember, it's kind of easier if you remember.
If you remember where you see the animal poop on the way up, that's where you need to follow it on the way down.
Exactly.
But yes, we did spend, I would say, more time in a car than I would have liked.
The whole trip?
Yeah, the whole trip.
Yeah.
There was more time in the car than I would have liked, but we're going to find that anywhere living in New York where you're just walking everywhere.
Right.
But what I loved so much was seeing so many things in nature just untouched and not seeing trash and
just
seeing the effects of wind and water and rain and snow on the landscape.
Oh, also I have one more thing.
Yeah.
Cave of the Winds.
Oh, Cave of the Winds was terrific.
So you go in. For us, what we did, there are other things you can do there. We took a tour of a cave. There's a lot of cool history behind it. It's also really fun just to walk through, see what a cave is like.
Yeah.
There are, what are those hanging things called? Like
stalactites hang down, stalagmites go up.
Stalagmites also.
Mm-hmm.
There's this thing that we saw, I don't know the scientific name, but it looked like popcorn.
Mm-hmm.
In the cave. It was really cool.
Yeah, and then and how when the air goes through, how it creates different formations inside the cave.
Also, there was stalagmites. They just hang down, and it's made of rainwater.
And I think it's something. I forget what it was. Was it like something about the size of your fingernail every 1,000 years or something like that, or whatever it was?
Like 10,000 years.
And they just
to get this.
They always hang down. And I said, well, what would bring it down? Or what would knock it off? And the guide said, only a human. But you can't touch anything in the cave either.
Yeah, not even the walls.
Nothing.
Can't even lean. Just the railings. If you're touching with your hand, not your feet. But that would make sense.
Yeah, and it's pretty cool just to see how,
on the stairs.
When all this stuff was discovered as settlers went west in the 1800s.
Yes. Oh, one thing about the cave, if you're not a stair walker, there are a lot of stairs.
About 150.
No, it was 250.
No.
Mm-mm. Okay, whatever. It was something. It was 100 or 250. Around that.
Yeah. So overall, a lot of history. We saw the oldest building in Colorado from at 4 Mile Park. We saw. A lot of history, a lot of nature. Took a lot of pictures. So thank you for only rolling your eyes maybe once or twice to take pictures, because I know you're not used to. That's another thing: getting out of a car, in the car, out of a car, seeing something, taking photos together.
Also, I have this. Also, the car seat. And then you have to strap it. And you have to do the buckle. Then you have to put it in, and all that stuff.
Yeah. I know. Yeah, but I'm glad we did it. It's pretty cool to go to a national park.
It is.
Yeah, it's very cool. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Yeah. And you would recommend it for other families.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, welcome back.
Thanks.
Love you.
Love you.